Hi everybody, and welcome to Science Kit number 3. This week we've got a project that personally I think is pretty awesome. UV flashlights. In your kit you should find the instruction sheet, a couple popsicle sticks, a roll of electrical tape, a 3-volt button cell battery, a binder clip, 2 LED lights, a big one and a small one, 2 strips of adhesive copper tape, a sheet of aluminum foil, and a bag of fluorescent pigment. Before we get too far in, just a quick note about the LEDs. They're packaged in a little bit of blue tape to help keep the wires from bending. Before you use them, you're going to want to take them out of the package, being careful not to snap off any of those 2 little legs. Taking a closer look at the legs, you'll notice that one is longer than the other, and it's going to be important during our project to keep track of where the long leg is. Your battery should also come in a package, so you can go ahead and take that out now as well. When you set up your LED, it's important to keep in mind that this circuit, or circle of electricity, will only work if it's traveling in one direction. If your battery is in backwards, things won't flow properly, and your light won't light up. If you want to test it out before you build, go ahead and slide your LED onto the battery. If you're lucky enough to get it the first try, your light should come on as the circuit is completed and the electricity is traveling through the diode. If yours is backwards, it might look like it's broken. But don't worry, just go ahead and turn it around and hopefully there will be some success. If you, like me, enjoy messing with the bits in the kit, go ahead and give both LEDs a try. See which side of the battery your long leg needs to be on for each of your LEDs. Is it the same? Is it different? Make a mental note to refer to later. For our first flashlight, we're going to start with a popsicle stick, a binder clip, both strips of copper tape, our 3-volt button cell battery, and an LED. I'm going to start with the UV LED, which is the smaller of the two, sometimes also known as a blacklight. One important thing to keep in mind for this project is that not everything conducts electricity the same way. For example, the copper side of the tape does an excellent job, but the sticky side, the paper side, doesn't do so hot. So even if these were to be stacked on top of each other, and it looks like one continuous strip, that little line of paper in between can block our electricity highway. We're going to make our first electricity highway down the entire back side of the popsicle stick by peeling the paper backing off of one of the copper strips and placing it down on the stick. Now, if you're having a little trouble with the copper tape, I recommend giving it a wiggle, and you should be able to see the back separate from the copper. If we can get it in focus. There we go. Once you've got a little bit loose, feel free to use that as your starting point, and to be careful of the tape's tendency to curl up on itself and make sort of a tangled mess. Trying your best not to rip or tear the tape, we're just going to untangle it and stick it in the straight line. Stick it in as straight a line as we can down the back of the popsicle stick. Should look something like that. Sweet. So, to continue our electricity highway around to the other side of the popsicle stick, we're going to use this metal binder clip. Clipping it to the end so that the metal touches the copper tape on one side, and on the other side, well, there's nothing there yet. With our second strip, we don't want to cover the entire popsicle stick because we don't want our flashlight to stay on all the time. I'm going to measure this out till it's just long enough that it goes most of the way down the popsicle stick, touches the flappy part of the binder clip, but doesn't touch the black metal part. We want to wiggle this loose as well, and follow the same procedure that we did for our first strip. Oop. It's a little sticky sometimes, it might take some patience. There we go. And sticking it down to the other side of our popsicle stick. Just like that. Close enough. All right. When we take a closer look at our electricity highway, we can see we've got the short side and the long side. Now on the end that doesn't have the binder clip, our LED, or light emitting diode, is going to be the bridge between our 2 copper strips. By sliding it onto the end, you should see the legs of the LED connect with the copper in a way that completes that end of the circuit. If you've taken the time to play with your button cell battery, you might remember which side of the battery needs to touch the long leg and which side of the battery needs to touch the short leg in order for your flashlight to stay on. I like to put the long leg of my LED on the long strip of copper tape to help me remember which way it goes, but you can put yours on either way so long as you remember when it's time to place the battery. In order to keep everything in place, we're going to use a little bit of electrical tape to hold this down. One of the cool things about electrical tape is that it's a little bit stretchy, so we can also use this to make sure that the legs of our diode are held nice and tight up against that copper tape, and that nothing interferes with the flow of electricity from the leg to the tape. Now, if this electrical tape got between the leg and the copper strip, our flashlight wouldn't work. So we want to make sure that we're paying attention, not ripping or pulling too hard, and wrapping this nice and tight. Feels a little bit like being an athletic trainer and wrapping somebody's ankle. We want to make sure it's sturdy without being too tight that it breaks anything. All right, that looks pretty good. Finishing up. Excellent. And before we add our battery, we're going to want to do just a little bit of measuring. By reattaching our binder clip, we can see pretty clearly how the electricity highway connects from the metal arm of the clip up the copper tape into the leg of the LED. One big, long, unbroken chain. On the other side, we do have a gap though. Our circle isn't complete. From the tape, to the diode, to the other tape, to the clip, there's still a little gap that we're going to need to close. I could close it just like that, but there's no power source, so our light doesn't come on yet. In order to place your battery, there are two things we're going to need to pay extra close attention to. One of which being the spacing, making sure it's high enough up that it touches your copper tape and low enough down that it also makes contact with the arm of the binder clip. The second thing is to make sure that our battery is oriented in the right direction. If it's backwards, we shouldn't see anything happening. Give it a flip and your light should come on if we hold everything in place. I'm going to use some more electrical tape to keep our battery still. But this is a spot where a little bit of thinking ahead comes in handy. If I were to cover up the entire battery, that electrical tape will block our electricity highway, and it won't be able to flow from the arm of the binder clip into the battery. Peel that off. If we put the tape halfway on the battery, there should be enough surface to stick to the popsicle stick and enough exposed area to touch the end of the binder clip. This is a little close, so I might make some adjustments if I planned on keeping this indentation together for a while, but once you think you've got it pretty sturdy, go ahead and wind that electrical tape tight, giving the battery a squeeze and making sure that it's snug against your short strip of copper tape. Excellent. We can give it a test by flipping over the arm of the binder clip, and our flashlight should turn on. Since this is a UV, ultraviolet, or blacklight flashlight, some things might fluoresce or seem to glow when you shine it on them. More on that later. But for now, go ahead and test your flashlight out. Turn it on and off a few times, and check for any loose connections. If the legs of the LED are loose on the tape, that might cause your light to flicker. So you can give it a little squeeze, a little test, and make sure that that connection is strong. One other spot your connection might become a little loose is at the end by the binder clip. If this isn't making good connection with the copper tape, we're going to have a break in our highway, and we'll see some changes in our LED, getting dimmer or turning off. Finally, you'll want to check the binder clip on the battery. Sometimes giving it a little squeeze can work like a pressure sensor, or if you've got it all nice and snug, can act like an on-off switch when you flip the clip. Feel free to decorate yours as well, so long as we're paying attention to where the electricity is flowing and not making any changes that would interrupt our little highway. Your science kit also has all the supplies needed to make a second flashlight, so long as you're alright with using one of the time-honored skills of tinkering, borrowing pieces from other projects. In addition to the binder clip and the battery from your first flashlight, you'll also need the second popsicle stick, the sheet of foil, your other LED light, and that last bit of electrical tape. We've got an extra battery here just to make filming a little bit easier, so feel free to take apart any old projects or other things around the house as long as you have permission to do so. You never know what something might turn into with a little bit of creativity. One of the tricky parts about our second flashlight is also one of my favorite things. Instead of using that copper tape, which kind of sticks on and is hard to get off and use again, we can use something that most people have in their kitchen, aluminum foil. If you're feeling really fancy and like your hand-eye coordination is excellent, you can try to rip off a little bit of foil the same size as your copper strip. That's not really working for me, so I'm going to do this a slightly different way, but feel free to follow your heart, as long as we're remembering that the shiny foil acts as the electricity highway in this case. I'm going to tear off a bigger chunk, and instead of trying to rip it into smaller pieces, just give it a couple folds, making sure to tuck those edges in for reinforced strength, and so that nothing will catch, rip, or tear when I'm moving it around my project. You can sort of make it as thick as you'd like, so long as it's not going to interrupt your electricity highway by either cutting it off or joining it together too soon. Looks good to me. We know this foil will work, because if we put it between the leg of the LED and the battery, the light still comes on. If we were to try the same experiment with electrical tape, our light shouldn't come on. Try this with other materials you can find. See what blocks the electricity from flowing and what allows it to pass through. This strip is a little bit too long, so I'm going to tear some off. And that looks pretty good to me. Highway number 1, ready to roll. Now in this case, it's not going to stick itself to the popsicle stick, so I'm going to make my second highway and then just tape them on at the same time. You can speed this one up so you don't need to watch me do it twice. Just like with our first flashlight, we need to measure our second strip so that it is long enough to touch the arm of the binder clip, but not so long that it smashes up against the black part. We should be able to do this just by ripping the foil off with our fingers. It is a little trickier to get them into place without them having a sticky side, but with our electrical tape, we should be able to tape them into sort of a foil, popsicle stick, foil sandwich. Starting with a strip of tape in the middle to hold everything together, then moving on to our diode and our battery positioning. In this case, we do want to make sure that the foil underneath the electrical tape remains unbroken, aka keeping our electrical highway intact. It's totally okay if there's electrical tape underneath or on top of your foil, so long as the foil remains an unbroken pathway from the diode to the clip or from the diode to the battery. You can almost think of this first strip as a belt holding everything together. Just like with our first flashlight, we're going to get 2 more strips of electrical tape, one up top on the diode, keeping track of which side has the long leg and which side has the short leg, and a second strip halfway over the battery, positioned so that our binder clip can act like an on-off switch, contacting the battery or disconnecting your circuit as you're ready. With this second LED flashlight, or our non-blacklight version, there are lots of modifications that can turn this into an invention of your own design. Personally, I love having a flat bookmark that also serves as a reading light. Maybe this is your searchlight to look under your bed for something that you've dropped. Maybe this is a tool for telling scary stories in the dark, as long as you don't scare your little brothers and sisters. You can also take the binder clip off of the flashlight if you want it to act as the secret key to turn it on and off. Unless someone has another way of connecting the metal strips, the flashlight will only work for you when you add the binder clip and complete the circuit. To simulate the spread of germs, we're going to take a little bit of our fluorescent powder. Not too much, this stuff can get everywhere. Now I've sneezed in my hands. Gross. Time to do a little bit of work. Alright, so I've been going about my day as normal after fake sneezing on my hands, and let's take a look and see where those germs are now. Now we know that there are probably going to be some directly on the hands. After all, if you sneeze into your hands, you're going to get some snot. Now we can see we've got the left hand here, down into the watch, And if we can figure out a way to hold the flashlight, there we go. So with the grossness on both hands, the next question is, how far has it spread? Now I also did direct that sneeze down towards my pants, so we've got a little bit more on the pant leg here. Gross. Some on the table. Now I know I touched the phone, and you can see we've got the charger and the home button. Even if you wash your hands, when you touch any of these objects again, you're likely to get some more of that transfer, which is especially true for the phone. You see it's all over the trackpad. We've got some of the keys, some on the, you can see of both of the beverages that I was drinking from. We've got some on the soda can. On a particularly nasty note, coffee thermos has a flip-top lid. So in order to open the thermos and drink my coffee, I need to put my hands right on the same spot where I'm going to be putting my mouth. You can see the other trackpad, the other keyboard. Essentially anything that I was near or touching after having sneezed on my hand got some of that powder transfer. If we're willing to get just a little bit grosser, I can shine this flashlight at my face. And you can see part of this is likely from drinking out of the coffee mug with all of the powder from the top from touching the mouthpiece. Part of this is definitely from resting my chin in my hand while I'm thinking, kind of like an old fancy sculpture, but with way more germs. And this is why after you touch something, it's totally okay to touch your face, you just need to wash your hands in between to make sure that you're not transferring any of the germs to your face. You can also see from grabbing and putting on my hat, I've spread the germs to my hat. And in the dark you can get a better sense of how far your UV powder has spread when it's not fighting with the regular overhead lights. Oh man. I'm gonna be honest, this has grossed me out a little bit, seeing how much I touched my own face during a day at work. So I'm gonna go wash my hands right now before we set up the next experiment. And you should too. Please go wash your hands. So on the topic of looking for things that we can't always see, some of you might know that we have a pet mouse in the workshop that has previously explored outside of her enclosure and is currently living in the workshop playing Ithaca's longest running game of hide and seek. So in an attempt to gain the advantage over our furry rodent friend, we put some of this fluorescent powder to work in order to track her back to her newest lair. Now we know she's a big fan of peanut butter because of previously gathered data, aka she eats snacks off my desk sometimes. So we set out a little mousy buffet with the little blob of peanut butter and a chunk of granola bar and sprinkled glow powder all around the bake. So in order to get the tasty snack, she has to walk through the powder, hopefully carrying some on her little mousy paws as she returned to wherever she is currently hiding. Now we got a little bit too excited in setting this one up and forgot to check how charged our camera was, but hopefully you get the picture. All right, so it is the next day, approximately 24 hours later, and our post-it note is gone. If we take a little look around, we can see, oh! Are those little mouse feet? Let's see where they, yes! Oh man, so it looks like she took off behind the recycle bin. Let's move that out of the way and see what we can find back here. Is our theory correct? Oh, there's the post-it note. Oh man! Right at the end of the little mouse feet. Oh, and it looks like all the food is gone. That's so wild. See, boop, boop. Oh, hard to hold the camera. Oh, it even looks like maybe she went behind that table leg? Oh, she might be living in the bookshelf, guys. This could be a bigger adventure. Oh. So it looks as if this mouse experiment may not be over, but hopefully your experiments aren't either. If you've discovered a cool new use for your flashlights or set up an experiment or two using your fluorescent powder, send us a picture or a video and we'll share it with the world. We're always looking for great new ideas, and more often than not, they come from interested, creative people like you. So until next time, from everybody here at the Free Science Workshop, stay curious, stay safe, wash your hands.